everybody. I think I was ambushed quickly, but hello everybody, it's Bokang. I hope you can hear me quite well. Welcome to Power Talk, another one. I'm sure you're now tired to hear Bokang is a guest host. He's like one of those people, the in-laws, they will be visiting for 3 weeks, and before you know it, the guest room will be like, no, can you get me my bag in my room? I'll be like, Bokang, how long are you going to be a guest of it for 5 weeks? But know what? Do not worry. We are going to have a wonderful one. I'm sure by now, you know that we always pick the best in our profession to come talk, empower each other, share knowledge, and all of these great things. But today, I think the last few ones we've been having one-on-ones and discussions and trying to get this. But we thought today, okay, let's bring everything together, put it in one pot, and let's see what comes out. I've got a good number of guests that I'm going to introduce now. And you know what? If you can just see their face, I think they are familiar faces. I'm sure when you look at what we have done before, if you have time, go back, subscribe, and look at our channel. You might find out that there are some interesting things that were going on. I'm going to start with the introduction and not talk about myself too much. Number one, out of all, I'm going to start with ladies first. Not to put her into danger, but I'm going to start with Matlhogonolo Matlaisane. Matlhogonolo, can you show yourself to the audience, please?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you?
All right.
Oh,
you?
I see that face is that last face that created problems, and it was punching and asking the big questions. You know what? Today stick to standard grade, right? I don't do high grade questions, but welcome. How are you, Marily?
I will not be myself then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. So you are already putting a disclaimer. Typical internal auditor. Welcome to the show, Marily. We're going to have fun with you.
Thank you.
But you're not alone today. I've got Mr. Sizwe, who was here last time. Sizwe, can you show yourself, please, sir?
Hi, Bokang.
How are you, sir? Yeah.
I'm good, son. How are you?
All right, all right. Some of the audiences were saying, you know what, if you're not careful, Caesar was speaking more than you in your own show. My man, relax. Yeah, relax. How are you?
I'm good
How are
with you,
you?
man. No, I think they were correct. I also realized that when I was going through again.
You see, man, I don't do competition. Calm down. Yeah. How are you, sir? How is the day? How are you doing, sir?
No, I'm doing very well, Bokang. And how are you doing from your side?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. You can see we brought ladies this time to calm you down, but I brought other gentlemen to excite you. So I want to see what's going to happen after that discussion that we have last year. Masiro, can you say, Matlhogonolo, can you say hello to our main man here while I'm getting some other colleagues here? Please come in. Lwandile, are you there?
Hello, Sizwe.
Hi, yeah, yeah. How are you?
I am well and you. I'm the rose among the thorns today.
Yeah, no, I see. You
No,
got
no,
to
no.
talk
Yes.
Don't
very.
get deceived. She's the thorn among the roses, my man. Calm down. Lwandile, how are you, sir? Am I audible to you there?
Yes.
Lwandile, are you
Very
there?
well. Yes, yes, you are.
All
Can you
right.
hear
Nice
me?
to hear from you.
Yes, I
I
am.
can hear
I
you.
can hear you very loud and clear.
I can hear you now, sir.
Awesome.
You look like a typical auditor. You are still looking for supply chain, non-compliance
Mm.
to police case. Even that time of the day, calm down, yeah? Yeah? Calm down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm still looking at the process flow.
Now you're doing process description and risk and control metrics. But we are not all alone. You can say hello to the other colleagues that I've brought here. Last time you were too much for me, and I thought, hey, you know what? This man needs some help. Let me get some other handling into it. Tebogo, I agree you are the one who's going to help me, my man.
How are you?
From you, don't ask any questions. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Man, I'm good. I'm so happy to have all of you at the same time, colleagues, and good afternoon. I'm sure our guests are going to have fun. But we are speaking the same thing that we are speaking. We are all auditors, and from my investigation, it looks like we are born for it, right?
Of
Some of
course.
them, I don't want to talk about the motives of who got to where here, but I've realized all of you were grabbed somewhere. And a lot of you don't want to tell me the truth, particularly you, Sizwe and Lwandile. You don't want to. At least Matlhogonolo tried, although he used some codes, but today we're gonna dig in and find out all things. Tebogo, my man, don't worry. When there's angels and then you. When we had a nice show behind you. Huh? We didn't have
Wow.
but now get out of the closet. I saw the closet almost at the end of the show. Right? Has a lot to tell us. But today we are talking about the same thing we spoke about, the attributes of a board. We spoke last time, you told me quite well what type of directors do you want to see, what type of processes that they should be able to go through. But today I want to align all things and on the same questions of what is a director. I think first, let's talk about qualification, right? And today we're not going to go left, right, center. We're not going to talk about the houses of the cousins. We are getting into our board. The notice is out. We are looking for a vote on the 20 something of November. We have to prepare. I think that time where we are going to depend on somebody to control our destiny and to prepare our future when it gets to auditing is about to end. If we want to control the future, we need to be part of it. And if we want change, we have to be those sort of changes. So I want to ask you the first questions one by one, right? Starting with the rose among the thorns, right? Ma'am, what type of character do you think we need to get? And after you tell me that, start by telling me, well, for me personally, I think you are ready. Why don't you think about representing us in the board? And if you had to, what would you do to us?
Please repeat your question.
You see, typical auditor, she's thinking about something. Now she's throwing some emotional
No,
intelligence
no, I
to
realized
buy
that
some time to
my
respond.
volume is
I
very low,
think,
so that's why I'm also adjusting. Technology is not for us all the time.
all right. Now, my question is straight, ma'am. Do you think that you can represent us in the board? Can you represent us in the board? And if you say yes, hypothetically, what do you think that a director who's sitting next to you in that board should be like?
Okay. Of course, I would like to present to you.
I told
So I think as a director,
them that.
um,
Yeah.
skill skill is an essential part of a person who
Okay.
is that particular director. They should have unique collection of skills. Like myself, I have, so only besides your internal audit, because I'm an internal auditor. Also, I have my own personal qualities, which
Yes.
includes your good judgment, my communication skills. I love being an active contributor, even though you think I shake the boat quite often.
I don't know. We need the boat
Then,
to shake a bit just to get the directions all the
yes,
time. No?
I believe in being an active contributor.
Okay.
So when you're an active contributor, you will also ask questions. So that's my belief in, unlike sitting in a corner and being frustrated and not understanding what you're doing, which means that you basically wasting the institute's time.
Are you serious?
I
Tebogo? So just hold on a second, sister. Before you get worms, we just started. You go down under the belt. People are wasting time and all of those. Tebogo, she say, don't waste time, my man. Yeah. What do we have to be? Who do you want to sit next to? Yeah. If
As
hypothetically
a
be in that
strategist, uh,
strategy.
yeah, someone who's a strategist, um, because to make good decision for the organization, we need that person who's a strategist. The business is changing, the environment is changing, it becomes more complex. So having a strategist as a quality of independent director, it will be helpful for our institution.
Nah, Sizwe, are you a strategist, my man? And
Uh,
what is this strategist?
no, I think it's very difficult to judge yourself. You are judged by others, but I think the element of being
Wait,
a
wait, wait.
strategist.
I forgot that Caesar was working in parliament, so the diplomacy will come first. Them, you know, those that went to public school like us, you will do that Macbeth or Julius Caesar, and you will hear the strategy of Brutus and to Brute. They will say, I'm the worst person in the world. Until the man knows that he's a strategist. Okay, woman, I'll judge you. Tell me, what is a strategist?
Yes, I think a strategist is someone who can see the future now, and you provide tools to navigate to that particular future, and you have the clarity and purity of thinking, and you don't leave anyone behind. You take everyone with you. But ultimately, when you arrive at the end, people must begin to understand that it's their own achievement. So I think, in my view, I will summarize a strategist really as someone who really go to uncharted terrains and provide value to any organization that you serve.
But you agree that we need strategists in our board.
No, 100%. We do need strategists, strategists that are able to take us through the direction that will put us at the very higher levels of maturity. Because I think that's what the strategist is about, is to
Supposed to.
maximize value through maturing any kind of environment that you find yourself in.
Nah, I think when it gets to agility, multitasking, and all of those fancy words, we are talking Lwandile. It's life and typing at the same time. But man, these colleagues are saying you must be a strategist, you must have unique skills. What do you think?
So certainly, yes, indeed, you must be a strategist. And in my view, a strategist is someone who thinks long term, right? You're not just thinking of where the organization is. You're thinking of where the organization is going, uh, because you would note that the organization, when it was founded, it probably had a mission and a vision and all those things. But those things do change over time. Now we are talking now about these words like agility. We're talking about the auditor of the future. We're talking about a whole lot of things that are coming in, that are emerging from the profession itself. Then certainly the vision needs to change, the mission needs to change accordingly. And a strategist, in my view, is someone who who looks at the organization in that view and see it moving forward and taking people forward and not just
Viewers,
moving
you know
forward on
that,
its own without
yeah,
its people.
yeah. You know, I get the gist of it. Try to drive a bit slower so we can hear you slower. So, but colleagues, you know what? I want us to approach this thing like I don't want to call myself an academic. It's not going to work. I want to say maybe let's do some sort of an experiment. Ne? We are going to assume all of you are in the board, right? Now is the 23rd or the 25th of November. Congratulations, Matlhogonolo. Congratulations, Sizwe. Congratulations, Lwandile and Tebogo. Now you are board members of the Institute of Auditors in South Africa, right? Can you do that?
Yes.
Auditors are actors, guy. Why do you get so
Yeah.
shocked? Why don't you just say, yes, Dala? Yeah. But you know what? One thing that I'm going to ask, now, I think from the introductions that we have given, you are quite direct and true to say, you know, we need some sort of particular type of a person that we want there, the person who's connected to the people, the person who has the right skill, the person who can be able to go further in particular areas that we need, right? We need person who is agile, we need person who can see the future, strategist, and so forth. So I want to build from that point, right? Right. For our particular mission as internal audit, if you think of the board, I don't want you to mention the mission that we have on the website on Global. What do you think the board, the IA South Africa, with South African context, with the auditor in South Africa, with the history and the future that South Africa looks at, and all of those things, what is the three main important things that they should consider? In you know, Mr. President, they do 100 days speeches and all of those funny things. Now, what are you going to see in the first 100 days of your office? Give me the top three things that you think, you know what, if I don't do anything, this is the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to start with you, Tebogo. I can see the words are just here on the tongue. You just want to hit it, my man.
From my side, the first thing that I'll do is stakeholder engagement. To engage with the members, that the most important part of the organization. So engaging with them, understanding their needs, understanding their frustration. I think that's a base where I'll start in order to drive the organization forward. That's
all right. Masego number one. I mean, Matlhogonolo, sorry. Why do I call you Masego? Is it your second
I don't
name?
know. I don't
Is
know.
it your
And
child's name? Maybe I'm prophesizing. What if you say that maybe your future surname is Masego? Matlhogonolo, what do you think?
maybe because
What do
I
you
think
think?
the
What is
names
that
have a
thing?
similar meaning. Probably, maybe that's why.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Oh,
Yes.
right. No, maybe because we internal auditors, we interpret and analyze things. Sometimes we call things the other names, you know, like the second name. From now on, going forward, your second name is Masego. By
Okay.
popular demand. Guys, who's voting? Your board members, vote for me. Eh? Aye. You see, all in favor, say aye. Malady, what do you think is the most important thing for you that needs to be done in the next 100 days?
I would look at, sometimes we make on the strategy of what needs to be implemented. So I would look at that and see how do we drive it forward instead of making empty promises, because there are some things in the strategy that are really good on in writing, but they have not been implemented. So I would look at that, especially that the stockholders have an expectation when they've put you in director position. So also looking at the past and what can be implemented, because not everybody actually, not everything that is there actually can be canned. So I'll look at that. What can
So
we
you
contribute?
look at the
Yeah.
achievability of whatever we
The,
are doing. Yeah.
yes.
No, it looks like you are stepping into strategy. Lwandile, what is the main thing, sir?
So, so for me, it's
it's really getting the value out of the strategy, out of the stakeholder engagement. I feel we do have stakeholder engagement. We do have stakeholders that we engage with, that we have as, but are we really using them optimally? Maybe that's the question. Because we do a lot of talk shop without actually having, actions in place. So I'll develop action plan, a measurable action plan that can be, measured periodically, and check that we are really moving forward with that part of the strategy, and we are using our stakeholders optimally, be it other organizations like ISACA, universities, and other professional organizations. What are we getting from them? What are we giving them? What is our membership benefiting from having, all these other organizations that are our stakeholders? So that would be my key focus area.
All right, Mr. Sizwe, we need you had them, the colleagues. Number one of them, we need to engage with the stakeholders. After we engage, we create some actionable plans that we can monitor. And then I think Matlhogonolo said it straight. We need to see the outcomes of action. We don't want, I almost made an example about the Constitution of South Africa, but you know what? I said more lower grade things. I'm not competing with you guys. You know what? I want to take it easy. Mr. Sizo, what is it that is quite important that you think we can look at? If you want to build on others, build. If you want to think of something, let us know.
No, I think it's to take the baton from the generation before us, and take it forward through thorough analysis of the what it is currently, and identify areas for further improvement. As part of that identification of the areas for further improvement is to ensure that we understand the pulse of membership. I think it's what colleagues they talk about issues of the stakeholder engagement. But not only the pulse of membership, but even the stakeholders that we serve, to ensure that they better understand the value proposition of internal auditing. But not only that, some of the stakeholders that we have neglected, I think is what Lwandile is talking to. This aspect of the universities, they generate knowledge. There's a knowledge generation that speak to what we do, and how to then begin to commodify that knowledge and bring it within the institute. So I think it's very much central that we probably think about doing that institute.
You know what? From those responses, producer, you can stop this. These people are done. Now, it looks like the future of our committees is right. I want to tell you, I'm not going to be in the board, hopefully not. And then what I think, as a normal common internal audit and a layman out there, I remember those days where we used to be the pride of the world. Accountancy and auditing in South Africa was the toppest one. Now we're almost number 50. Board people, what are you going to do about that? There's no way that within a year or two you can move from number 1 to number 50. Yeah? I think even Matlhogonolo can say it, even when you're going to dump your boyfriend, there are phases. You can't just be dumped. Oh, my guys, what are you going to do with that? Let's say that you come to stakeholder engagement and I say that. How are you going to do that? I just want to know specifically to say, you know what? We were respected. Our jobs as internal audit are given to other people. Any Jack, Jill, and Tom can come and be CAE and sign the paper. They can come. They look like ministers. You can never agree, but you can be able to lead some corporate firms or be something like that. So, I mean, all those sort of things are happening on our watch. And a lot of our members invest a lot of time, effort, and they put their life to build a career of internal audit. Not because they want to get big jobs, because they love it and they understand what is the value of it in society. We are trying to create that trust. We want confidence on systems where we work on. We want our companies and we want our societies, department to be able to deliver that service that they promised. If you are going to be a government department to give a water, we want that. Right? If you are like Lwandile, my man, we want that top beer, Heineken. We don't yeah, we wanted to bring us peace and quietness. You see, Matlhogonolo, you know all of those sort of things. If you promise transformation, if you promise to to push things forward, equality at the workplace, competence in our people, protection. Now, I want to tell you a story, and I want you to let me know how do you feel about it. Do you know that now there was this particular CAE on this particular big company? It works on TV. It starts with the S and then come A, and then the other alphabets that come after A. You know that that man had to go to learn how to shoot, my man, just to protect himself. It's difficult to be an auditor these days because now you are being ambushed. You have to run around with bodyguards. You have to be protected. You can't even jog on the street. But less than 5 years ago, internal auditors were the best friend of management, providing value. And you know, we have been here for hundreds of years, right? We do have our old people that have been doing these audits. There's evidence on that. Are we just going to accept that we are number 50 numbers? Can we accept, Matlhogonolo?
Nope. It's unfortunate that we got to a point where we are number 50. Yeah, but we can't just accept the status quo because remember we were number 1 at one point.
Yeah, for some time.
For some time, yes, for some time. And us, also the members also helped in getting to number 50 because of our reputation. But
Yeah,
I think
I like that. Wait a moment.
yes, we need to
I like
identify.
self-introspection. Yeah.
Yes.
I like self-introspection. Let's talk about it. I represent the members today for at least the next 8 minutes. What do you think as members we need to do? Now, personally, I think as members we need to take control of ourselves, especially now that there are board votings that are coming. We can't play ignorant and leave it to chance to say, you know what, the universe will send somebody there that can be able to talk about my issues. I think that's the first start. Take control of your own profession, try to build it, develop it, the skills and all that sort of things. What else do we need to do as common members?
Can I probably come through, Bokang, just to add to what has been said. I indicated that if you become a board member, you take from the generations before you, and those generations are the ones that have put our institute at number 1. So you ought to go back and check out what is it that they've done correctly. And where did we then begin to reroute, and how do we then begin to bring a vehicle back to its own route? And it may be that we have delegated the responsibility to be firmly in charge of our profession. I'm not saying we have done that. I'm saying it may be that we have done it. But I think all those kind of things are the things that you probably will see when you do the thorough introspection from where you were number 1 to where you are currently. And begin to come back for your own relevance, and therefore begin to upscale now your importance in society. And it may be also
Go on, sir. Go on.
It may be also that
if I see that this man is competing with me, I'll stop him like I'm because wait.
Yeah.
Go on, sir.
It may be also that our status is affected by our cousins. If you look at the state capture, it's our cousins that were hectically involved, and we have the same belt which is called auditing. The surname is one, you see, and that's the name probably is the one that is putting us where we are today. So it shows you that there's a lot of things that ought to be considered before you can come up with the strategy that therefore begins to bring us back to where we are a few years ago.
Yeah, no. I think that is. What do you think, Matlhogonolo? Is that the thing? I want to hear that. I want Matlhogonolo to agree that we need the wisdom of the previous generation. But I'm trying to push it there. She's like,
No, we do.
Okay.
Remember, even your grandmother's
I
teachings.
succeeded.
No, remember, even you, some of the grandmother's teachings, you still follow them to this day to the T.
Exactly.
Because they were
and we
good.
teach them to our children as well, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you can't can, like I said before, you can't can everything and say it's not good. So you assess and see what has worked. And there was some formula there that was working perfectly. And that perfection actually, it's just going back to it and polishing, just polishing it, kiwi polish, making it
Oh,
shine,
I got
and then
nuggets.
implementing it. Yes,
No, I hear you.
because
I hear
you can't just get rid of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think Lwandile earlier you mentioned something to say, you know what, we need to be agile, look at the past, look at tomorrow, be flexible with the change. What is your view of how can we take this expensive, or should I call it valuable, sort of lessons from our previous generations when it gets to audit? And then how can we polish them in today's date and move them forward? Huh? I'm coming back to the other question about our cousins. But Sizwe, man, I think the parliament has corrupted you, man.
Yeah.
Lwandile.
So for me, Bokang, I would take it a bit further and say, yes, indeed, we do need the expertise of our front runners. However, we need a mixture, right? So we need a mixture of the ones before us and the ones after us, because we can't always rely on the older generation, so to speak, to lead the future. We need to have that mix of the future to take it forward, and also bring the agility. You mentioned the being agile, and that agility is very important, because you're not gonna
And
get it.
they
Yes, you're
were
gonna
young at some point. Okay? They probably did those
indeed,
things when they were young.
indeed.
Yeah.
So it's all good and well to get the wisdom, but you also need the agility to take the wisdom forward, so that it's a continuation. It's not just, it doesn't end up just as a lesson from the past and it ends there. And also, if you are looking to regain momentum to be where we were before, as the number one most trusted profession and so on, you need to do that introspection and look at what went wrong. Why did we go down to from number one to number 50? There is a couple of things. I mean, we all know that the past couple of years, the audit profession as a whole has gone through very volatile times. We know the state capture, we know the KPMG sagas, and a whole lot of other issues that happened that followed the mistrust of auditors. Uh, we do need to look at that and interrogate that and see what has gone wrong. Are the ethics no longer there? How are we building that? How are we integrating that into the future auditor, and make sure that we build a legacy from now?
But Tebogo, you look like you want to blame our cousins, mama. Yeah. That was the same saying. I thought initially,
Definitely.
I thought you were a sister. As soon as you be reminded of mama, you are a stepchild, then you know what I am. What do you think? What do you need to do
Definitely, I
to
wanted to blame our cousin. However, as Lwandile and my fellow colleagues have said, that we need the past and the current and the future generation in the board committees. So they are quite correct in a sense that if you check, for instance, what gave us some of us internal auditor interest into the profession. Yes, we believe it's a calling for us being internal auditors, but we were motivated by the previous generation to
Hello,
join
we
the
know it,
profession.
my man. Now you have to now believe it. We know it. Believe and know it's two different things. I'm sorry, man. Go
So
on.
so we saw from the previous generation, then we got interest of being joining the profession. So at that time there was something special about the internal audit. It was few people practicing it, difficult to attain it. As you mentioned, nowadays anyone can become an internal auditor. Now things have been changing, the environment have been changing. When now we are an internal auditor in within the operation, within the professional, there are individuals, for instance, the ISO certification. They are internal auditors as well. But what set us apart from those internal auditors? I always say, in my work environment, when I'm being asked, "Oh, I'm a safety internal auditor," no, I'm an internal auditor, I'm a catalyst. I touch in everything. I add value to the organization. So I think it's about defining our role or internal audit, because now there's a lot of internal auditors out there. They're confusing us with so many people. So if we get that right, we define what is an internal auditor, I think we'll be in the
auditors.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Sizwe, you look like you want us to elope, my man, and dump our surname auditors.
No,
What do you think is
also,
the you do
also
yeah. What do you think Matlhogonolo? I wanna hear Matlhogonolo.
no, I'm
Also,
just saying that it's also easy to blame the cousins. Yes, the cousins have done their best to move us to number 50. But what have we also done to prove ourselves to the market? Because it looks like we are also watching and entertaining ourselves with, our cousins, they are doing the best that they can to ruin our reputation. But what are we also doing? So we also needed self-introspection. You know how the blaming game doesn't help. Personally, I'm for solutions. So we can't always be blaming our cousins that we are still stuck in 50. What have we been doing to move ourselves up?
and to separate from them if you want to. You know what?
Yes,
I
of
think
course.
what Tebogo had
Yes,
said,
of course.
I'm sure you all had to go through the process where we are trying to appoint some internal auditors, especially junior auditors. Again, 30% of the CVs will say custom auditor. And you try to maybe I missed this other thing. And then you try to look at the subject and the certificate, nothing to do with audit. You know what, guys, since you're saying we need to change, when you are up there in heaven, can't we be called some other surnames? Maybe
Remember
it looks
also
like
there's
all the cousins
this
are
thing of everybody can be an auditor. So that's how we get all this bunch of people until you start documenting a working paper, and then you realize that
you realize
actually,
what
yes, like a
happened
mere
here.
working paper, we take it for granted that
Guys,
a working paper is a little thing, but then you realize that you need core auditors, people who know and understand the standard.
understand the philosophy of
Yeah.
internal audit. You know, guys,
So yes,
I
audit
felt
is a
like
training ground, but yes, audit is a training ground, but it
without
has
entry fees. Even
without
UNISA have
entry. Yes.
yeah, I know. You know what, guys? I felt special up until Matlhogonolo told me anybody can be an auditor. Hey, are you happy with this, Caesar? What do you need to do, man? You want to feel
That's
special?
what happens
Yeah?
though.
No, can I come through? I think she's correct, and probably we have missed.
I just got blown. This man is double blowing me. Ah, my man.
In fact,
Okay, go
in fact,
on.
in fact, in fact maybe we have missed the attributes of a specialist. Probably, I think it's where we need to start. Attributes of a specialist in a certain trade. They go through issues of education. First question that we've asked, the issues of certification, and the issues of experience in that particular trade. So three combined, they make you as a specialist. That's why even if you go to court, the first thing that they ask you is the level of your qualification, your
Yes.
certification, and the years of experience.
Yes.
And I think in the internal audit fraternity, truth be told, it's a free flow, right? You are a cousin, you have the surname, and then if you have a surname, then you qualify, right? And we bring you in, but you are not trained in the intricacies of the
And you are
internal
not
audit
chosen.
organization.
I'm looking for somebody, Lwandile, make me feel special, my man. We are not chosen. Lwandile, help me. We are common now. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are quite indeed common. Everyone can
Are you
indeed be an
serious?
auditor,
These
but
people are going on
Wow,
but
us,
wow, wow.
guys.
no, but there's a but. It takes a real auditor to be a good auditor.
Okay. Internal auditor, right? No, it's good.
Yes.
Tebogo, what is a good internal auditor? I think Sizwe mentioned the three fundamentals, right? The qualification, the certification, the experience. Experience in internal audit, I want to believe. What more do you think the board members need to be able to have? And what more do you think members should be looking for when they're picking people to sit in this board that you are now sitting in?
As we mentioned that we were number 1, now we're number 50. That's a crisis. So we need someone with a crisis management skill who will be able to take us going forward with they mentioned reputation, our reputation. KPMG, all those scandals have been happening, but in terms of it's a crisis to our profession.
Chartered accountants, man. Let's say it like it is.
The question has never been where was the chartered accountant. The question is always been where were the internal auditors, not chartered accountant.
I mean, if somebody asks you the wrong question, you give them the right answer. You start by giving them the right question first. Have you ever seen a teacher? A teacher asks you a question that they know the answer. You're like, ma'am, why are you asking me this question? You know it. Like, try again. You're like, we know, guys, we have to work on our internal auditors profession. I think in the board, we only have responsibility or judicial duties, particularly to internal auditors. I think you have mentioned most important things. We need to introspect. I want to believe introspect is to have those gatekeepers of gatekeepers. Not anybody. You can't just grab Bokang passing from the street and say, Bokang, come here, be an auditor and sign up some things for me. This is going to destroy the reputation. I think on our individual discussion, we were going on to the fact to say, at the end of the day, we are passionate internal auditors. We could be anything else. I'm sure we are capable of being whatever we want to be. We could be in risk management. We can even be joining our cousins and doing accounting, because all of those things we do. I think what Sizwe mentioned to say Tebogo mentioned to say we are catalyst, we are everywhere on all things. It means even with that capacity, we go back and resonate within internal audit and put our time there. I think for us, it feels like a calling in a way, but I want to see to say, as members, what is it that we need to do? Somebody once said to say, a teacher will come up when the learner is ready. I want to believe a leader will come when the follower is ready. So us as members, followers, what do you think is expected from us? We are introspecting now. We are not talking cousins. We are not doing anything. Anybody can answer.
I think let me start on this one, and let's really get out of the cousins now and go to the fundamental issues. And I think the very first fundamental issue, Bokang, is the same issue that we spoke about of engaging our stakeholders. Do they really understand the internal audit value, what it means, right? Mm-hmm. And do we have a feel of their experience of internal auditing as a profession? Is there a mechanism that we use as a dipstick to understand when we begin to misalign and to understand when we are properly aligned? I think that is really missing from the profession. I think the second aspect, it's me and you in the positions that we have. You say you go, you do the audit, you spend a lot of time, and you recommend action plans. The action plans that don't get implemented. Yes. So have we asked ourselves as to why are these action plans not implemented? Is the value that we're saying that we provide through the mission of our profession really value that is recognized and appreciated by our stakeholders? I think probably those are the fundamental questions that we must ask. Start with us, our institute, and then we reposition now the internal audit as a true value add kind of a profession in every aspect and corner of our industries.
Well, how can we do that, Lwandile?
So we need to have agreed, attributes and qualifications and so on that makes up an auditor. Because what happens most of the time, and I've seen this true experience, is that auditors, because you want a mix of skills, right? You end up having a whole lot of other skills that anything but internal audit itself. So because we want that mixture of skills, you get the data analyst, you get accountants, you get this, you get that, and then you don't get internal auditors. So we move from one end to the next. So we do need to agree on what makes a proper internal audit division? What do you need to have?
Yeah,
What are those skills? What are the core competencies that you need to have? And then how do you mix those? What do you need to build, the auditor of the future and so on? But the core needs to remain there for you to have proper auditors. As we've said, anyone can make an internal auditor, but it takes a very, a good internal auditor to be the one to actually set themselves apart. And we need to, establish that type of, a framework, if you like.
To be fair, I think it talks to the dipstick that one of the colleagues was talking about. But you know what, Tebogo, I want to talk to you. I'm going to go straight into it and hear what you feel about this. Not long time ago, there was this thing to say there's a challenge exam. CAs can write one test and become CIAs. Hey, and my heart was painful because, my man, it took me a good 3 years to get this damn CIA. Long time ago, there were still 4 parts, Matlhogonolo. And then somebody of my cousin just have to wake up tomorrow, read some few books, get it like that. I'm like, oh, no, that's fine. I want to also be a CA. Is there a CA challenge exam? You try to call a psycher, they're like, no, you're crazy. It's not that easy to become a CA. What does that say about us? You are easy to become a CIA, but you can't. It's difficult to become a CA. The society where they sees that, it means anybody can get CIA. Then I'm thinking, I might not be the... I knew I was not the cleverest, but I might be a little bit lower than my own judgment, Mr. Sizwe. What do you think about that, scenario? What does it say to the society?
As for me, it's painful when I saw that someone with CISA can write one exam, someone with CA can write one exam. When I was writing my part 2, part 3, when I was writing my part 3, almost when I was about to complete, in my mind
they say,
so when I was about to complete, I felt it in my blood that if I pass this one, I'm not a CIA. And I did fail it because I felt those questions were more generic and all that. But I felt it if I pass this one, I'm not a CIA, a certified internal auditor. So what I'm trying to say is, you're giving a CA that challenge exam. They go and pass it and they call themselves a certified internal auditor, but they didn't go through the process. We've went through from part 1, the standard, the practice, even at workplace. Our CFO, our financial managers, they are auditors at their own rights from the article that they have said, but they are not internal auditors. They can go and write the exam, but they are not internal auditors. Our mind is wired differently. We see things that no one can see, honestly. And going back, you get a data analyst, you bring it in our department, probably go and write CISA, now you go and write CIA. Now you think you're having a group of internal auditors, only to find out you have no internal auditor in your department. So for me, it's a bad feeling. I think we basically dropping the veil of internal audit profession by those memorandum of understanding with other. It's fine, but one exam to become a CIA, for me, it's really sad.
And you're thinking I should have waited up until now? Sizwe, I know I can see it in your eyes. You've got the same question. I want to hear how you got... My man, please come down. I thought you left Parliament. You went to Nelson Mandela University. But now I'm not sure if it is coming out of the pot to the flame. But let me hear you.
No, I wanted to say the question that we must probably ask is to who make these decisions. First and foremost, I think it's very important that
the board. You're going to be the board.
No, I'm saying who makes these decisions? Are these decisions made by the CIAs? Are they made by the CAs? Are they made by the... So now I think that's a question that I'm raising. And I always say that internal auditing is not external auditing, and external auditing is not internal auditing.
Definitely not.
It follows that
I don't want to be an external auditor.
It follows that external auditor is not an internal auditor, and the internal auditor is not an external auditor. So I think this confusion probably it's the one that put us where we are today. It's part of the things that perhaps when you do the thorough introspection, because there may be that at the time when it was tested, there was a certain kind of a view, a certain kind of an interest. But like any other decision, you have to go back and relook at it and check whether this decision is giving you the desired results and outcomes. So now I think as part of the introspection that we're talking about as Colin, that's one of the areas. I don't agree with that, that you can just walk into the certification, because it's literally just walking into the certification. The issue that you are a cousin and then we give you a pathway and then you walk into the certification and that certification then you begin to call
So
yourself.
you don't take walk-ins. You don't take walk-ins, man. Yeah.
No, we don't
You
want
don't
walk-ins. No, don't.
Set an appointment, wait for 3 years, follow the process, join us.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think from what I'm getting from all of you, it says when we introspect, our value is up to ourselves. You know, sometimes I know some of you, they bought expensive car, not because they can't get you to point A, or maybe if you are driving with that car, 60 is 80. No, 60 is still 60, but still you bought that car because of it's expensive, it defines who you are. So you associate yourself with that particular class. What I'm hearing from you is that we have dropped that standard and associated yourself with any in a particular moment.
And you know, it's said, you can imagine, I'm in the process of writing my CIA. I have part 3 only outstanding. And then there is somebody who has no clue about internal audit who can do a walkthrough. So you can imagine how you're feeling. And the very same people, I know somebody.
Sorry to disturb you. I'm sure you lost some boyfriends and special friends while preparing, right?
You know,
I knew it. That was the
I
reason.
could be spending time with my forever Yena. And no, forever Yena is neglected because of these exam 3. You know, and now, and you get. They are taking, I remember a person who wrote CISA. I was like, okay, so it's very easy. It means it's very easy to get into CIA, because if you have a CIA, you can't have a special exam for CISA.
For CISA.
So
No, you have to go through the route.
So it's seen as like a walkthrough. You know, when you're doing a walkthrough and writing your notes.
You're just checking the
The market
scenario.
is seeing us like that. You know, but I'll still write my part 3 nevertheless, you know, forever it will understand.
Once an internal auditor, always an internal auditor. And a good internal auditor will remain good.
Just to come in with Sizwe when he mentioned that who made these decisions. So whenever they, for instance, when
you
they say
wanted somebody
CISA,
to be accused, this man.
No. So when they say CISA can now write a CIA, so what I did, I just went to see in terms of what are they going to cover when they're writing. I've seen they limited the IT part, then combining the part 1 and part 2. So for me, people who made those analysis thinking just by omitting the IT part and allowing them to write the other part, it will give them, they will become certified internal auditors, or maybe they didn't check the competency part or the internal audit attribute. Our internal auditor competence.
Can they exclude? Can CISA exclude the internal audit part in the exam?
Unfortunately,
and then we
no.
work and write
the whole CISA exam is internal audit.
Yes. So can they do the same?
And for me, I think the approach, if you prepare for CISA, CISA will say the way we look at internal audit from an IT specialist to an internal auditor is quite different. So I'm trying as much as I can to draw you to say, Bokang, when you're CIA, you are special, but you guys are not doing good. Lwandile, my man, we are special. What do you say?
So I happen to agree with Tebogo on this one, because I wrote the CISA exam. And I mean, if you were to just, take out the IT part and leave, I don't think it's enough as compared to CIA. So there's a whole lot in CIA that is covered that is not covered by the CIA part or the audit part in the CISA exam. So, and this is coming from someone who actually wrote both of them. So I don't think, as Tebogo said, the people that did the assessment didn't do justice to that. There might have been other, intentions or to actually do these memorandums. Maybe it was just to drive the numbers and get more people to be certified. I don't know, but it really does not resonate well if you're looking at the quality of what a normal CIA is giving you.
Yeah. Matlhogonolo, you have obviously contaminated my audiences. They are now telling it like it is. Yeah, like it is. But you know what? I like that part. Time is going faster than I thought it was. But you know what? We've spoken about that things of putting ourselves in the position where we want to be. If you are going to sell yourself to the low class, you must be expecting yourself to be seen as low class. It is what it is. So auditors, we need to be expensive. It needs to be difficult to be an internal auditor. And the issue of the principles of the why, what is your mission, what is your approach, I think it's something that must be important as board members. But I hope since now we're still in this experiment, I hope now, members, you are fixing off a way of writing some paperwork to be able to take over that. But there's this other important thing. Internal audit, it must, in the society, align with society. That is why I was saying, let's come talk about South African perspective. Internal audit has been around the world everywhere, but there's been some pieces that have not been covered like that. I'm going to give you like 1.5 minutes each to say, you know what, in South African perspective of internal audit, to society that we know, the most unequal society in the world, the most poorest people in the world, the richest people with minerals and all of those things and labor, the cheapest labor force in the world, 75% plus of unemployment when it gets to youth. I don't want to talk about those that are even working, they're working for scraps. What is the contribution of internal audit to prepare this future? I'll start with I'm not sure if you're a thorn or a rose, but for now you're a rose.
Personally, I think that we need a person that has knowledge of our society and industry knowledge, and not just have. So you must understand the diversity of South Africa and the challenges of South Africans, and also serve these South Africans with integrity. You know, the standard also talks about having integrity, being ethical, but where we are right now as a nation, we desperately need people with integrity and people who will serve with integrity and be very ethical. So that is also very important because we have, maybe let me say, normalized unethical behavior, but we need to go back to what we call basics, because in the past it was a basic to serve with integrity, it was a basic to be ethical, but now it's very fashionable to be corrupt. So we need to go
Because
back to basics.
anybody can be an auditor these days. So maybe that's why. Lwandile, is that why?
So, so perhaps to add to what Matlhogonolo has said, I think back in the day, it was more about ethics more than the money, the prestige, and all of those things that it brings. But now people seem to be comfortable as
Audit
long
is
as
not
the
really
money.
paying you. Why are you working, guys? I'm the only one who feel underpaid.
No, look, of course, you work for money, but it can't be just about the money. So the ethics has to be as much a part of it as everything else is. Because once you put that aside or on the side, you run the risk of actually eroding the entire value of the whole thing. You need to say it like it is to the powers that be. If government doesn't do what they need to do, as an internal auditor, you need to call them to order. You can't want now to be politically correct while you are compromising, the ethical values of what an internal auditor should be.
Mr. Sizwe. Your 2 minutes of
Yes.
fame.
I think it's two contributions. Firstly, you're correct that internal audit is a microcosm of society. We have a history in society, and that history is a history of underdevelopment versus development. Internal audit is not immune on that. So now radical transformative changes that understand that there's a need to balance underdevelopment with development. I'm not going to go into the issues of gender, race, and all that. So I think the first thing that I'm talking about inequalities. We need to ensure that through the profession we play our part. It's the first one. The second one, we tend to subordinate this role of consulting or advising our organizations. We are very comfortable with providing assurance, and we hide under independence when we need to come to the party and assist the institution to improve the processes so that the institution doesn't collapse. I think it's high time that auditors they must be proactive a bit. We need to be proactive in our approach. We need to be agile in our approach. This thing of 3 years rolling plan is something of the past. In fact, even the annual plan is something of the past.
Too long.
Changes
Definitely.
in the external environment, they move at a speed never seen before or never experienced before. So internal auditors, they ought to be agile. We ought to rethink our contribution. We ought to be proactive, and we ought to partner with management where there's a need to partner. And forget about this thing of always protecting independence. We'll protect independence, but we'll become irrelevant because when
Yes.
management requires you,
We
you are
agree.
not there. And then I think that's why I'm thinking that the proactiveness probably is going to assist us to also assist in improving some of the things before they happen. For example, issues of corruption and all that. We know that we are in an institution where there's no fraud risk management program, and we are comfortable
True.
as an internal auditor. Don't work with the institution so that to improve the systems of internal control. So I think I'll end there.
Yeah. No, I think correct. I thought the hour was too long, but I realized it's too short. It's a pity that we lost Tebogo. I think we are in South Africa. I'm sure auditors in ESCOM will do something about it. Maybe it's load shedding, whatever, or auditors in Vodacom MTN and whoever will do something about it for justice. But thank you, members, for your time. I think for me, what I've gathered from you is that we are individuals before we are auditors. The type of person have a big impact of what type of auditor it is. We need to have gatekeepers. We need to analyze people that join our family, and we need to be able to take them through some sort of ratification. And one of those is to go through professional development, have experience of internal audit, not experience of internal audit. Because it looks like some people short-circuited. You become certificated with CIA, you know nothing what an intern in audit do. You know nothing about the junior or a senior auditor, what do they do? So those things need to be able to be wrapped up and changed towards the future. I think that is what I'm hearing from you. And you know what? For me, I'm comfortable to be represented by yourself in the board. And I don't know audiences. If you like me, an average person, I will say go out there, fill your proxy form, give it to somebody who's going to vote, hopefully for these guys. And if you're not going to be able to make time, make sure that your vote counts for something. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do nothing about this, it is a problem to yourself. You are going to end up with this profession that you work hard with. Before you know it, it's going to be taken away and thrown to some particular point. So let's come together. Let's try to be able to take control of our future and be able to create that thing that we want. And I think what the audiences have said is true. We need to learn from the past. And somebody did say, whatever is happening now has already happened. And what is happening on the future is happening now. It means to work on your future, you need to take your time now and be able to put the right people into that. If you love audit, you will be able to join in and vote. I think I've heard that we all have a free event for all members on the 22nd of November. Please make time, be there, put your vote on somebody that you trust. And I think for me, Bokang, I think I've overstayed my time. I'm going to talk to the producer just to hear, do I still qualify as a guest or what? Because I'm starting to feel like I'm an in-law relative now who have taken over the guest room. But with all being said, thank you very much, colleagues, and I hope you're going to have a wonderful time. And please do enjoy your audit as it is. And to the audiences, You did hear what you do, attributes of internet board members, and we empower each other in this channel. When you have time, come through, talk to us, and let's see what we can learn from each other. With that being said, greatly, and thank you again, audiences, and I hope you have a wonderful day further. Thank you.
Thank